my God, it is Azensali. I'll be putting all the nuns to shame her. Don't say my name in vain, sir. I told you once I'll have you living on a prayer like Bon Jovi was. Oh my God, it is Azensali. I'll be putting all these nuns to shame her. Don't say my name in vain, sir. I told you once I'll have you living on a prayer like Bon Jovi.
So there was, from what I remember, there's like hold on, there was somebody, I don't know if you want to name the person or whatever, but there was somebody rapping or trying to rap or something, right? Something was happening in school, and then you're like, well, I could rap better than that.
Yeah.
Was that a big part of the music and why it started?
That was a huge part because in 8th grade, a year before, I donned the name Do Ra. I had caught wind that there was a person.
Leave it mystery.
Yeah, a person in our grade was making music. And, I already was into music. I was already writing. I hadn't released anything. I had never recorded even.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this guy on SoundCloud, and I said, this guy is booty. And I would show him to my boys, and we would all clown him. We'd be like, yo, this guy is booty. And then I made my first song, and he was still making music, and I would look at the numbers. We look at the numbers.
Mm.
And it's kind of funny because he had like 3,000
mm-hmm.
on SoundCloud, like 400, 2,000. And then my first song did 80,000. So
even there, yeah, that's crazy because even there you knew that it was better.
Yeah, right off the first song, I did more numbers than he ever did in his whole career, and then I kind of just like left it at that. But then his girlfriend was in my math class.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say DMs. All right, so she's in your math class.
Yeah, she's in my math class, and she would always be like, "Oh, my man, he's making more music, he's writing whatever." In math class, I had every day because I was in the worst math class.
Yeah.
And I would get all my work done because I didn't really belong in that class, but I was in that class, so I would take advantage. And while
what had happened was
and while I was in that class, I would just write lyrics, like for the entire class, and it was during the longest period too. It was like an hour and a half long class.
Mm-hmm.
I would finish my work in the first 30 minutes. I would just write for the next hour, just lyrics, and I would just get better while his girlfriend was in the class bragging about how good he was. And then that's why I named that song No Comp. That's why I came out with The Heat. That's why I came out with Topics.
And now, to be fair, this guy has no idea you guys were ever in competition.
Yeah, no, he has no idea we were beefing. But I was definitely
it was Biggie and Tupac, underground.
Yeah.
No one knew. Okay. In 8th grade. Is this 8th grade?
It is the trickle of 8th grade into 9th grade.
Right.
And I think he's seen me probably one time, so it was like we never even seen each other. I don't even
know who this guy is. Really. Yeah, you just know his SoundCloud name.
Yeah.
So shout out to Mystery Man. We don't even. He's probably not still rapping, right?
No, I think he quit long ago.
Yeah.
After
he heard your songs.
Yeah,
that
he must have.
Know.
He heard the love song, and he couldn't do it.
He's like, I'm done.
But there's always competition because even nowadays or even last year.
So?
Well, it's not much of competition, but it's like. It's like
never competition.
Motivation for me to.
Yeah, the competitive spirit.
Yeah, I just don't like that. You're taking up other people's ears. You know what I mean? Like they should be listening. I want them to listen to me. I don't want. You shouldn't even be there because they're gonna distract. You're gonna distract.
I don't think they're taking up ears because everyone has a different genre that they want to listen to. You know what I mean? Like some people actually like today's music. I don't know if it's catchy. I can even attribute I always joke around about it, but Juvenile was like the beginning of mumble rap and we were just sitting there going, yeah, I was back the ass up, yeah. But it's catchy, so everyone has their genre. You just gotta. That's why we're doing this. Your listeners are gonna be like, oh, yeah, and then you'll have the right ears. You won't have to sell. You don't have to sell anything. It'll just be the people who want to listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between like a mainstream and a genuine. Like when I heard J. Cole, I was like, oh, this is a genuine song. Like he means this shit. And that's the same thing that I get from yours is like, oh, this is real music. It's not.
Yeah.
You're not following an algorithm or numbers or a trend. I think he even says that in one of his songs.
A lot of people they They like to. It's like a science now. And you hear the beats. The beats are all similar because they're following us.
Yeah.
A science. Okay.
All right. So then let's get specific of how did Do Ra transform into Azensali? Like you gave us the overview. It was a album name, and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But what and who helped the process?
So like we said before, in the summer he was writing songs, which trickled into fall into the freshman high school,
Yeah.
and by winter he had a lot of love songs in his notebook, and he decided that he would take it seriously. So he, and of course Mystery Man helped.
Yeah.
So he named himself Do Ra after dough, like pizza dough or cookie dough, and Ra his first, the sound of his first name, the first sound of his first name. In January, he had found the beat for the first love song, LL. In February, he released it, February 14th. And from January to, I'll say April, he was in his friend's studio, M Poema. He was with M Poema a lot during that time, from January to April. It was downtown. We go to his house, we go outside, and he had built, like, it's the most jerry rig studio ever, I think.
No, that's where the best music's made, bro.
But people always talk about closets.
Yeah.
People talk about closets and bathrooms, like, oh, I was in the closet, I was in the bathroom. We were outside with, it was literally styrofoam walls. Like he had put up styrofoam walls with siding on the side of it and a makeshift door. And we would go out there in the winter, and he have a heater that hooked up to the outside of the house with an extension cord, and we would sit in there for hours, and we would put on a laptop, put on the microphone, and we would just rap on like 4 or 5 different beats throughout the day. We would draw on the styrofoam walls.
All right. So what's the first song that you put out with El Poema?
Topics was the first one. In that same studio, I recorded Heat. I think that's what it's called, Heat. He helped me find that beat. Yeah, it was we wrote a lot of stuff. Sometimes we didn't even record. We would just write. We would just put on the beat and we would just write for like 2 hours, 3 hours. And there's very few footage of said experience, but those are probably the most instrumental times for the artistry, because that got me writing every single day. Because then after, I believe it was March when the lockdown started to happen. We got locked down from school, so after that, nobody wanted to go around each other. So I was already writing with him so often, like 2 to 3 times a week. We would meet at his house in that outside place, and it built this like habit where I would just write every single day. So I was writing every single day for months, and that's how I got really good. Just do it every day, even though I didn't feel like it. I would just write. And then that would help me make Solid Juice in the 3rd month, the Herb McGruff beat, which would lead to No Comp, and then Heat, and then it was summertime, so it was Window Pane. Then I came back and I started making beats.
Let's talk about that. That was rough, bro.
What?
I remember you showed up with just the most basic beat.
Yeah.
And that was like difficult because I didn't know what to say, because I'm like, keep going. Right? But I was like, well, you're going to have to add some things. I remember even telling you something about intros, or like have an intro. And I think I showed you some of my music, not mine personally, but what I listened to back in the day. And you're like, that's ridiculous. Like, that intro's too long. But I'm glad you kept going, because your beats now are like, why did you switch all of a sudden to say, hey, I want to make beats?
Because after I made Heat in a Solid Juice, I decided I wanted to make my own beats because I wanted to own the songs.
Oh, right, because Love and Lust was.
Yeah, I didn't want to pay anybody to have the beat. So I said I can do this myself. So then I stopped writing every day. That's true, and because I sacrificed that for learning how to play instruments like piano, guitar, or how to sample or how to use the GarageBand because that's the only software I use to then make beats to refine that ability. Most of the beats that I did make and that I learned, or the instrument that I learned to make beats with and learned how to play a lot of scales and things, was this piano that my brother got for 1 penny at a tag sale.
Yeah.
He got it for 1 penny. It was an old 100-year piano, real ivory on the keys, so you could feel the real elephant emotions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disclaimer: I don't think any of that is true.
It's true. Because it was like a Wolzheimer or something like that, like some old German.
Yeah.
Played in a saloon, yeah. And we got that piano, and that is the one that produced many hits. It produced so many good sounds in loops that I even used a loop in my most recent album.
From there?
Yeah, Change.
No.
Change is a loop from 2020, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Huh.
From that piano?
Yeah.
Not from that piano though. You recreated it.
No,
on the
from
new
that piano. I never used it because I didn't know what to do. Yeah, it's the best. It was the ultimate piano. It's truly the ultimate piano.
Alright, that makes Change 10 times better then.
Yeah. But yeah, that one.
What a good meaning, huh?
That one got me through. That piano was real helpful. It helped me make my 2020 album.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me recreate a lot of, I would listen, or I would look on YouTube. You know how those videos that show people playing the keys?
Yeah.
Before they play them, it scrolls down, right?
Yeah.
I would watch videos in halftime, and then I would copy it on the piano. So I don't to this day I don't know notes on the piano. I don't know keys, octaves, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just go off of what I did in the past, and that was what I did in the past.
Yeah.
You know, or just what sounds right, you know.
Well, no, that's why I kept not taking credit, but you're naturally good at this music. That's why I want you to keep following it, because I don't know how you hear the samples. I don't know how you hear. I mean, you were just singing in the shower and beatboxing and singing. It's just natural. It's not difficult for you.
Yeah. But yeah, then after summertime, that's halfway through the year, right? When we come back from vacation,
that's when you're starting. So you made Window Pane before you started making beats though.
Yeah. Well, Window Pane was the start of that. You know, it was I kind of want to make my own beats, because No Comp was the first beat I made for my songs. That I deemed was good to rap on, because I made 7 beats before that.
Oh yeah. You had to get good, and you kept going because they progressively got better and better.
Yeah.
And I forgot which one it was, but you showed us one time, and I was like, "What the fuck? Now you can make beats."
Yeah. Yeah, and then when we came back from vacation, after Window Pane was made, I recorded it. I believe that was the same year that there was a storm.
Yo, was that the tornado
one? There was a tornado storm, huge storm.
And you guys were...
Trees fell, I was crocheting, but I was still making beats because I made sure that iPad was charged. So I was still making beats, playing piano, there was a storm.
No, you weren't. You guys didn't have power all week.
Yeah. But I was still making beats.
That's awesome.
And for a while, I didn't release any songs for a while. And then it became December, and over this time, it was I was just making beats all throughout the fall, late summer, throughout the fall. I was just making beats.
And then, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then December came, and during that whole hiatus of songs, I was absorbing a lot of knowledge. I was reading a lot of books. I was looking into a lot of theories and what was going on, because it was still 2020, so everybody was going crazy.
Yeah, that was
So there was like no escaping the controversies and stuff. So I was just absorbing. You were absorbing either one side or the other side. There was no middle. You weren't.
That's a good point.
You know. So I was absorbing a lot of that, and I felt so strongly about it that in the end of November, I said I'm gonna make an album by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Because it has to go out by the end of this year.
Oh yeah, and you've crammed it
Yeah.
because you were a teenager, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it in 1 month.
Yeah. So all the beats that I spent the season and a half making.
Yeah.
And all the skills that I learned during the season and a half, I put to use, and I made 12 beats.
Yep.
And I did 12 songs in 4 weeks.
And those are still unreleased, right?
Those are on SoundCloud.
Okay.
So they're not released.
Right, we talked about that last time.
Yeah. So yeah, that was I think, and I named that album Azensali, we already know. Self-named.
Right.
And that's how essentially Dora became Azensali.
But what's coming up for Azensali? He switches his name, he realizes something's happening. I think you started going back to school at that time too, and it was like empty and like.
Well, this time I was still in sophomore year, so I was in and out of school back and forth.
Yeah.
So he's making songs and beats and artworks. He's producing all three of those consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not really doing anything else. He's just doing those three things.
So back to kind of like the practice arena, and you're like, you go back to honing the skills.
Yeah.